All the big names and all the heroes and the people who are in the front throwing Molotov cocktails. Piggybacking off of this idea, I've seen a great many videos as people are becoming more and more radicalized by conditions, by having all of the veils lifted and seeing what our government is actually doing to us. And I say that's fantastic. It's long overdue. But remember that your level of emotion about the situation, that the degree of radicalization you have about the situation, doesn't inherently change your job. You don't suddenly acquire like a high level of military training just because you are now more upset. And quite rightfully, you should be. Darlings, we have been underplaying the role of daily, day to day actions and the people who support a lot of the actions that we have thought about in the past as having been great change makers. And there's lots of memes that are like, oh yeah, like my one straw compared to Taylor Swift's airplane. Like, I get what you're trying to say and you have a point. However, if we all did stop taking the plastic straws, they would stop making the plastic straws because people would stop buying the plastic straws, right? Like it's all connected. Our small part is actually the foundation of everything that's happening. We do not become more likely to succeed when we all choose a more, let's say, a forthright way of interacting with the system. We become more successful when we all take that spirit and use it to fuel the things that we are good at and that we know that we can do for the struggle. Be honest, and you don't have to be honest with me, be honest with yourself. Okay? Are you still buying from Amazon? Are you still supporting like NFL, NBA? Are you still supporting all of the systems that we need to divest from if we actually want to see change? Because then it doesn't matter how mad you are about things. If you're not willing to change, we will never get to change. And it is easy to see why you think that doesn't matter because, as I said in the previous video, we live in a heroism culture. We only hear about the people at the forefront, right? Like, but we don't even hear about the major support staff that made that possible. Like, most people don't know that, like, Bayard Rustin, for example, was the person behind the March on Washington, right? We know about Martin Luther King and Martin Luther King's speech, but because Bayard Rustin was, an LGBTQ, but because Bayard Rustin was a gay person, like, he literally had to hide out in the trunk of the car. So nobody knew that that was really what was going on, that he was the person who was kind of running the show. And even less direct than that, for every single person that you know about, there were tens, hundreds of people who were supporting them in some way, right? Either by supporting the boycott, by, providing them with childcare, with all of the stuff that actually makes things run. You always need more bakers in a war than you do soldiers. If we really want to think of ourselves as heroic, which in these times, I believe that we should. I don't believe there's a problem with understanding that you are on the right side of a very important circumstance and with believing in the inherent heroism in all of us. But what we need to minimize is thinking that only one type of person is important. The person who is doing the most that we can see, right? Who has the most, again, the most active role. I'm not saying a bunch of stuff here because a lot of the videos that have been talking about more direct ways of involving themselves with the system have been taken down, and you know why that is. Know your role and play it. And for most of us as consumers, our major role is to change the ways we consume. It is to start prepping. It is to start saving. It is to divest from the system and divest not just practically, but also ideologically. You have to think about how you think about race. You have to think about how you think about capitalism. These things are foundational. And the nuclear family, you have got to start thinking about that too. Why are you still sitting across from the same people who are fighting everything you believe in, expecting that the world is going to change? It's just not going to happen like that. You are powerful. We are powerful together, but we have to actually start doing the work. In all likelihood, you're not a soldier, and that's okay because we don't need as many of those as we think we do. And those of us who are going to do that kind of work, honey, they're going to do it without you being involved, and you don't need to know. And what's more, don't fucking talk about it on here. I mean, come on.